September, my day job is running at Westminster, the all-party parliamentary group for Catalonia. We are running a delegation of British MPs from the SNP, Plaid Cymru and other parties going to Catalonia to meet various people, the ANC in Barcelona, the different parties, but we're also going to be visiting Jordi Cuixart in jail, and I hope Raoul Romeva and Carly Forcadell, who we've both had at Westminster. And I particularly want to say something, if you will. I don't want to single any one person out, but I think it's incredible that in 2018, Carly Forcadell, the former Speaker of the Catalan Parliament, could be found guilty and sentenced to over 100 days in prison for allowing a debate on independence in the Catalan Parliament, which a majority of the MPs wish for simply allowing free speech. The Spanish state has found her guilty and jailed her, in addition to the charges of rebellion and sedition, charges which do not exist in virtually any other European country. And the reason why Clara Ponseti is walking free today, not in Catalonia I'm afraid, but elsewhere in Europe, is a German court threw out those charges against Carles Puigdemont, the president of Catalonia, and the Spanish state was faced with the prospect, if he was extradited on charges of misuse of public funds, that he could not keep him in jail, and he would have had to be free in Spain, while Jordi Cuixart, Carme, Raoul and the others remain in jail. It was not sustainable, and that is why the case collapsed. It's also why we need to step up and maintain the campaign that all the prisoners must go free, and all the exiles must be free to return to Catalonia. It is unsustainable that Clara and Carlos can go anywhere in Europe except Catalonia. That is not sustainable, and we have to fight for that. And I also want to say something else. A great man once said that human beings make history, but we do not make history in circumstances we choose. In other words, we wouldn't start from here. But while nothing is inevitable, I believe that in my lifetime, which is going to be hopefully a couple of decades, in my lifetime, Catalonia and Scotland will be independent. And the reason I say that is it's not just simply a matter of popular opinion in both Scotland and Catalonia. That, of course, is important. But the reason why people want independence in both countries is because both states they are trapped in, the British state and the Spanish state, have got irredeemable crises which are not going to go away and will re-emerge at different points. In the case of Britain, it's somewhat different. It's a crisis of imperial decline, which has existed through all our lifetimes. And it manifests itself in different ways. Whatever you think of Brexit, it is utterly incredible that a British ruling class in my lifetime has never been able to decide on where it's going to go. Is it place in Europe or is it elsewhere? You'd have thought they could have flicked a coin and decided it. But instead they're at loggerheads over the very strategy of what Britain's future should be. I have to tell them something. That decline is irresistible. Thatcher didn't reverse it, she failed, despite all talk of a Thatcher revolution. And it is that reoccurring crisis manifesting itself in the issue of democracy, which is going to reappear at different points. It could be a financial crisis again, it could be a crisis of the political order, I don't know what. It could be another war that Britain goes into, trailing behind the Americans. It will come again, and when it comes, that is our opportunity here in Scotland to seek freedom, to seek independence. In the Spanish state is also in a crisis which is not going to go away. And that crisis is rooted historically in the fact that Spain is a backward country. It never experienced the French Revolution. It never experienced German unification. Its backwardness still exists. The corruption is endemic to the Spanish state. We have to admit it affects and it contaminates Catalonia as well. But it's only by breaking free of Spain that Catalonia can break free of corruption. That crisis, corruption is rooted in the Franco regime, but it's also rooted in the post-transition governments, the way that the Spanish industries were privatised, the development of finance capital, the concentration of wealth in Madrid. And If I hear one more time that the reason Catalans want independence until they are the richest region of Spain, that is simply not true anymore. It was true in the 19th century and the early 20th century. The wealth in Spain is today concentrated in Madrid as a conscious policy of the Spanish government. It's where the infrastructure spending is concentrated. It's not in Catalonia, and it's one of the reasons why Catalonia should be free, because it suffers at the hands of the Spanish state. The corruption is endemic, and Spain is not a full democracy, because the transition post-1975 was a failure. It failed to purge the Franco regime. That monster still lies in the grave of the fallen. Hopefully it'll be gone soon. Paid for by public money. There was no purge of the Spanish state. They're still there. The Via Laratina in Barcelona, the headquarters of the National Police, is still the same torture chamber it was under Franco. Nothing fundamentally changed in terms of the Spanish state. And the democracy that was installed was flawed. How can you have a constitution and other courts with politically appointed judges giving sentences of a political nature on Catalan politicians? How can you have laws that see a comic or a puppeteer up in charges of disrespecting the monarch of Spain? Where is the free speech in that? And this Spanish state is fundamentally flawed. It's lacking in democracy. And that is why this issue is not going to go away. It's going to reappear time and time again. And it's also why, I'm going to end in saying this, it is why in the last decade and a half we've seen both in Scotland and in Catalonia a sea shift towards support for independence. It's why people reacted when the Constitutional Court in 2010 at the behest of the Popular Party struck down parts of the Constitutional Autonomy, Statute of Autonomy, passed by both the Spanish and Catalan Parliament and by a referendum in Catalonia. But no problem, unelected judges, some of them political appointees, struck down now. And they keep striking down Catalan laws. Just as Westminster holds on to key powers in this country. I fundamentally believe, and I'm going to end in saying this, we will see in my lifetime, in the next 2 decades, a Catalan republic. I wish it was a Scottish republic. But I'd like to see us back as well. We're going to see an independent Scotland. It's not, as I said, just simply a matter of people's will. There is a fundamental crisis in both states. And Catalonia and Scotland have to escape the British and Spanish states. Otherwise, they're tied into something which is backward. It's not going anywhere. It's the issue of Spain. It's corrupt to its core. And we need to break from it. If we want a modern country, we need to break from the UK and we need to break from Spain. And that is what we're going to do. And in the meantime, we have to mobilise to make sure that when in September and October, there's 9 figures come up on trial, all together, a show trial, which is what it is. It'd be like something like Stalin's Russia, to have all of them in the dock at one time on charges of rebellion and sedition. That we need to mobilise in the ANC, I believe, has called for this in every European city, in every part of the globe. We need to get out on the streets, showing our support for those prisoners, and saying that in 2018 it is intolerable that the Spanish state should be prosecuting these people on grounds of rebellion and sedition. It is intolerable, and it is the opposite of what democracy stands for. We want democracy. We can only get democracy in both countries through independence.